So the ES in essence stands for emotional spark. There are studies that show that if you hook up an fMRI to a teenager, you're watching their brain as they look at a neutral face, a face like this, that the teenager will have activity in their amygdala, which is in your limbic brain, which sits deep in your brain. It's called the emotional center of your brain. If you show adults the same neutral face, there will be activity in the cortex, which when you're a teenager, the cortex is still in development. When teenagers look at a neutral face, they're likely to feel an emotional reaction, which means that as a teenager, you see emotion everywhere in the world, and you feel emotion everywhere in the world, which is not a bad thing. It means life can be very exciting as a teenager. It can also be confusing because you have emotional reactions over a lot of stuff. And if you get stuck in negative feeling emotions, it can be very difficult to get out of those feelings. Now, emotion has a purpose, and it's to evoke motion. That's the evolutionary purpose of emotion, to evoke motion. You're supposed to do something when you feel emotion. If you're walking out, say, on a hike, and you look down, and all of a sudden there are tracks of a cat, but it is a big cat, you will start to feel something, right? You'll start to feel some fear or some anxiety, and that emotion will make you want to do something to get out of there. The problem in the modern world is we're not running from predators it's a good thing. We're not running from predators very often. Instead, we're feeling a lot of emotion as we look at our screens, as we go through social media, as we sit in our rooms, and it can be confusing what to do with all the emotion that we feel. Which is why as a teenager, it's really, really important to start to notice what's happening in you so that you can start to share it with people. It's very important to notice what's happening in you so you can share it with people. And that is a very vulnerable thing, to share how you're feeling with people. In fact, it's so vulnerable that a lot of adults just have stopped doing it. And adults go home and they watch reality TV and they eat junk food and they just pretend not to feel very much, and they don't have close friends. And this is very tragic, right? Thoreau, years and years ago, said most people lead lives of quiet desperation, and not telling people what's really happening for you is how you end up in that kind of a state. So as a teenager, it's very important to start to share how you feel with people. We accuse people of being emotional all the time. Being emotional is not a bad thing. As a teenager, you just feel a lot, and it's very exciting. But what's mentionable is manageable. If you can name it, you can start to tame it. So next time somebody accuses you of being emotional, just say thank you. It's not a bad thing to be emotional, and start trying to open up and share with your friends.